Hello everyone, hello. My name is Katie and I've been running my channel for a couple years now, and I did a video last year that I'll link below called No Goals, Just Strategies. And I filled out this matrix and I used a few tools. Well, this one I used one. I just used these little sticky notes. They're transparent sticky tabs from Mr. Pen. They're just, I'm trying to think if you get both of these or if you have to order them separate. I'll link them below. And I've only used them a little bit and I still have a ton left over. I mainly just use them for this, but I wanted to color coordinate to pretty much match the Moxie Life categories. I had probably around this time started shifting which categories and what they meant to me. They're pretty much based. I think I changed this one from fun to ventures, but I think they're all the rest the same. Anyway, I went through that and I decided this year I am doing something similar, but I wanted to totally revisit this because it did help a lot of people. I was really happy to do so. This is in a sterling ink, and you normally have the categories across the top that say, like, I'm trying to remember, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily, and then sometimes you'll see, if you have a sterling ink, And so this grid was just set up with those titles, and I just whited them out and put these on here. And so I put H for high energy, M for medium, or some people like to call it moderate energy, and L for low energy. And then I just put like a series of little dots to kind of separate them just very slightly. And I put spinning and I put stuck because I felt like those were two sides of the spectrum of how you could feel in any of these situations. You could just be like, at least I can. You could have totally different words. You could have something overwhelm, or I don't know, just please adapt this how you want and how you feel. You could have like just 4 categories. You could have 6. You could have any number. But the reason why I'm revisiting this is because I think a lot of people resonated with creating goals only to look at them a month later and feel like they weren't congruent with your heart. They just weren't reflecting that you can change so much so quickly. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's something that, like, in your heart, it feels like it's still calling to you and it's still there. But I think a lot of people do feel like they have a ton of goals in January, and it can just feel so disheartening to look at it in February and just go, wow, I didn't get very far. And a number of things can be factors, right? Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes you're still gathering information. Sometimes you are slowly building. Maybe it's a lot of small steps and you just haven't been able to take the steps that you need to. A lot of goals and strategies can be kind of ableist. They can be something where someone who is, quote, I guess, healthier than others could do it faster. And someone who has multiple chronic illnesses like myself, it's hard to pull away from judging yourself. It is really hard. Like, I've tried to unlearn so many things about how I look at what I'm capable of doing and how should I set those goals. It's just so hard. It's so hard. It's just embedded into our psyche that someone should be doing this. You should be doing this according to social media, according to news and videos and whatnot out there, right? And it takes stepping back and going, well, what are my capabilities? And that's what this matrix is all about. It's about going, if I have a higher energy day, not the highest energy of some marathon runner, when I have a high energy day according to my own perspective and my own metrics and my own, like, what I think, And you can write this. I write it in an erasable pen, but you could write it in pencil so that you can adjust it along the way. Because over the course of a year, you could have more energy built, like have the capacity to have more energy compared to like January of a year as compared to December, or it could lessen and not be your fault, right? It's just something that happens, especially it's going to happen to all of us as we age. There's no way around that, right? There are stories of people who have had worse health and they've worked on themselves and had better health in the second half of their lives. There's stories out there like that, sure, and that you may be one of them. But we're all going to age, and we're all going to have less energy as we age. So I'm middle-aged. I'm in my 40s. And so, yeah, stuff I could do in my 20s, I can't do right now. But I have Crohn's, I have PCOS. I have, I did have, why am I forgetting? I had uterine cancer, had that immediately removed. So I was really lucky to not have to go to chemo or anything like that. But it's now still high on my radar of checking any other cancers that might come up. So that's just my situation. I'm also a mother. And I also am neurodivergent, ADHD and autistic. So there's a lot of things that influence my energy. So sometimes I don't know until the day I wake up. And I think that can be true for a lot of people. I think it is really nice to plan the day before and just say, okay, here's a to-do list for the next day, because it does help you mentally jump into the day. But if you physically can't do that, it can be really hard as well. It's complicated, right? There's all these different facets and dependencies on what works best for you, what kind of support that you have, what kind of resources you have. Financial resources help in a huge way. And if you don't have that, it can be really hard for you to get the care that you need, that you can get the support that you need. Having doctors that listen to you and advocate for you, to have family members who advocate for you. Again, so many different factors. And so it can be something to really try to think through all these different categories and take your time and like map them out this way. But I think the biggest thing that we're looking for is somehow to stabilize and try to predict a little bit of what we can do when we wake up in the morning. Because often we can like wake up and go, well, I can't do all these things. Maybe I can't do anything. And maybe sometimes you can't. Depression, new things that are coming up in your body, an injury, having trouble with relationships so you don't feel like you have that support, finding out new things about you, unlearning things. Like again, I'm not going to go into specifics, but this is why I'm doing this video and why I put this together. So to revisit this, I thought it was really important. And this actually was the inspiration for me creating my matrix for Sanctuary Paper Co., which is my downloadables store that I have. And my own physical and mental health has slowed that down a little bit. I was hoping to have a few more things up there by now, but this is where I am at. So this was in my common planner for 2024. This year I am using the Twines and Paper hybrid. So if you're curious, the hybrid has a horizontal and then it has a vertical next to each other for every week. That's not really dependent on this part. You can actually do this in any notebook. So what I ended up doing was taking my matrix here, and it comes with high energy, medium energy, and low energy in the 3 middle columns. I also demonstrated this for business, and I used it this way. So even though these are kind of orientated this way, you can write horizontally on them. But I decided, because everything was written as the page is viewed vertically, that I would write it this way. And in fact, you can see it right here. So this is how I had it this way. So yeah, you can really use it either way. This is for my business stuff. I decided to keep it color coded. And in this book, there are 7. So I decided to remove mental, because I thought that went with personal, for personal growth and relationships and my relationship with self. I always felt like there was kind of an extra category in there. Could I change this again? Yes. But it's something that I felt like, hey, you know, this planner has 7. I actually have 7 here. And then I also took, because those last 2 columns, last 2 rows in last year's were at the bottom, and they said spinning and stuck down here. I decided to writing spinning and stuck here, and they actually flow into stuck being lower than low energy and spinning being higher than high energy. And so for me, that makes a lot of sense, right? It's like I have so much energy. It may not be that I have so much energy, but my brain is like spinning so much that I need to like feel more grounded. Or stuck, I'm just like totally stuck in what I'm trying to do. And I just need to pause and evaluate and figure it out, or rest or something. So I defined what these were here. And I thought I could, I could write them in this little area here, kind of provide labels. This is the goals brain dump spread, but the actual, so there's monthly trackers here. And then I just tipped this in, so I could write something here. I don't think I will, but I like having an extra page in there so I don't see what's being written through there. And then this is somewhere where you could track how these are doing, but they're not goals, right? You could also just use this for something else entirely, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait. There's only 6 for each month. And so like you don't have to work on all 7, right? So again, this has like little bearing to that. If you wanted to have, I'm going to actually have different goals. I'm going to have, as I actually just filled January out, what would feel good to get done during that month. And so there's a med that I want to stop. There's certain things that I would love to see happen in January. And so here is where I could track those. This is totally different. This is a strategy on how you are conducting your day-to-day, how you can navigate, and how you can stop saying, oh, I'm lazy, I can't do things, and not in a victimizing way. You're not saying that I'm a victim. You can say, like, we get so many messages about ourselves being lazy when there could be a number of other things, reasons for why you're not doing something. It could be you're overwhelmed. It could be your mind is having trouble making sense of it all. It could be depression. It could be you have absolutely zero energy. There's so many reasons, and I don't like to use the word lazy at all. So the other part of this is that you could even color code this in a different way of like for these trackers, and have like certain things that you're tracking, and you could color code high, medium, and low days and kind of see how your days are going here. I don't know. I'm just offering some suggestions. In my health planner, I track high, medium, and low energy and my stress along with that, because that's another aspect of all of this. But I think the biggest part is sometimes we can't focus on a huge goal down the road, but we can just focus on what's happening today. And that's the biggest part of what this is about, is like looking at the day when you feel like you might not be able to do much. Sometimes I have to look at these things and go, oh, okay, I think I could do that if I had low energy. So I'm going to go through some of them. You can screenshot this. You can kind of look at it. But I'm just going to give some examples, because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. You could also totally set up a way to celebrate yourself getting things done. You could have charts. You could have some kind of gift to yourself, whether that's time, whether that's an actual object, or whether that's having a nice dinner out for, so say like you want to declutter and you totally decluttered a room because you had high energy that day. Reward yourself. It's really hard sometimes to reward yourself, because some of these tasks, because they're home tasks, and that's the other thing. As I showed, I have a business one and I have, this is more everyday life. Those everyday life ones can feel very much like invisible labor that's going on, whether it's with your family or just that society doesn't deem it as like, well, why would you get paid for decluttering your own home? But it's such a valuable thing. There are people who will come in and get paid for it to do it for you. And you can also ask for help, because there could be so many emotions around it. But it's still a very valuable thing, so that you can navigate your environment even better. So you can wake up and just feel better about your space, and that you can actually do some of the other tasks even easier. And all this as well, if you are someone who has a menstrual cycle, you know, your energy will go up and down. It just does. So that's why I'm like, I'm easing into this, because again, there's so many different facets to this, and I want you to make it your own. I do have this downloadable link down below, and I think it's attached to this video. There's different sizes. This is an A5 size. I also have it in A5 Slim, TN, Personal, B6, and is that it? Anyway, they're all linked down below. The week's one is coming. So, and it's much harder to do it any smaller than that, especially for something like this. You can also draw this in your own notebook, and you can make it look totally different, you know? So make it your own. But the biggest thing is you could have a goal attached to one of these things. You could have a couple really small goals, as I talked about in my business one. I just made one small goal, because that's where I felt like I could make some goals, was in business. But in here, that's the other thing. I have a spot here. Where is it? Towards the beginning. I think it's actually right after. It was right before January. So we have like December here. And then there was this spread that had nothing on it. And then it went into January. And I want to put some kind of mood board, like inspirational things here. But there are definitely some things in here that I'm picturing in my mind that I can put on a Canva mood board or whatever you want to use, that if I put them there and within the time frame that I feel like they are important to get done, I will be devastated if I see them still on here every single time I open this book. So I have thought about like having some squares here and having like removable sticky on the back, and somehow, taking things off if I just can't look at them, because there are some really hopeful things I want to do this year. And there's some things that I think I can do no matter what. But there's also some goals that it would be heartbreaking for me to see on here if it just wasn't possible. So that's why I want to stick to the strategies. So let's kind of go through them a little bit. So for personal, I'm talking about personal care, personal growth. So I start with high energy because I think about what is the highest thing I can do in this category that would not burn me out. It might be on the edge of what I'm able to do. So definitely like one of those all-in-one showers, I think, what they're called, like washing your hair, doing your full skin routine, putting on some fragrance if you enjoy that or not, like doing that whole body care day. Usually, what you do on Sundays, if that's the day of the week that you end up doing it. And what's like laundry, daily showers, because there are times when you're dealing with depression where a daily shower can be out of the question. Maybe every other day, There can be some, I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm just like kind of releasing some energy around that in my letting my breath out, because it can be really hard. Flossing, some of those things here are things that are very, very, very hard to do during depression. So I kind of do this last one as like, hey, it's hard for me to get out of bed. Low energy is like really hard. So just putting on clean clothes, just washing my face, putting on a little lotion, brushing my teeth and some lip balm. Like those are my base. What is the lowest thing I can do to show kindness and personal care to myself? And then sometimes I get totally stuck. Maybe I can't even do that. How can I make myself feel cozy? Maybe snuggling in a blanket. Maybe my body just needs a snack or some kind of food input. Even if I'm not hungry, what if it needs something so that my brain can operate a little better? Sometimes I turn to citrus to kind of awaken my senses a little bit. Sometimes it's just peeling an orange. Sometimes it's actually having it. Sometimes it's having a little bit of orange juice or something. That's me. Sometimes that can kind of feel like things are just starting to move a little bit to move up. And then there's times where I'm just spinning way too much. Like, I don't know what to do. What should I do? I only have a limited time. That's the spinning. It's kind of like a ruminating. So sometimes I put on like a perfume or I light a candle that kind of grounds me a little bit. Sometimes I lower the lighting because the lighting could be fluorescent, too bright, too blue, and I can kind of feel that. So something more warm, maybe putting on just a little bit of chill music can just like help me just center, ground a little bit. So if you just look at that, you can kind of see where things are going for the rest of this. So that's why I'm not going to like read everything. In terms of like your space, like doing a declutter is very different than organizing. Decluttering is making a lot of decisions. And I'm sure you've heard this from, I think her name is Casey. If I find her handle, I'll link her down below. She's done some really good books and I think like online classes for just doing kind of the bare minimum of trying to keep your house clean and stuff like that. But she really breaks it down into like decluttering is making those hard decisions, put something in a category to let it go forever, to just put it away, to trash it, like whatever those things are. Organizing is taking what's left over and just kind of Tetrising and putting it into a spot that's really going to work well and not have it like teetering, right? So put them into categories and think about how you're using those products, which to me, in my mind, is simpler. The decluttering is the hardest part. So, and then cleaning and deep cleaning are like high energy things. Making sure all the donations are ready. Taking them just in my car is not as hard as like taking pictures of everything, because then you're kind of re-seeing everything again. And it's just really hard. You're like, oh yeah, I am getting rid of all this stuff. I take pictures because when I do my taxes, then I have proof of what I donated. You don't have to. You can make a list of it. But that's just what I do. And then like medium energy, again, just organizing. I feel like I could sit down and organize a drawer much easier than I could declutter like a room and put everything in bags and take photos. Taking the donations, as I said, just doing the dishes, just getting things into the dishwasher if you have one. I still think, having a dishwasher is huge because you can just load a bunch of stuff in there as long as it's, the stuff is safe in there, and just keep running it. Like if you have a big pile of dishes, fill it up, run it. If you need to run it again, either if the dishwasher just doesn't get them clean, like just run it again. Like spend the extra money on the dish pods and the energy it takes to do them, because you're saving your own energy. And then for me, this is not for other people, because I know a lot of people have trouble with laundry. For me, doing a load of laundry, my setup is really easy. I do have space to put things away. I don't mind watching a video while I'm folding and putting things away. For other people, it is hard. So move this around for what you can do. Putting fresh sheets on, wiping the counters, taking small steps to clean things. I like to break things down. So if it's something like deep cleaning a bathroom, I'll only deep clean part of it. If I have more energy, if I'm like doing one area, I'm like, oh, I can do a little bit more, I'll do more. But if I don't, at least I got that small part done, and tomorrow I can do more. If I'm totally stuck, I can ask for help. If I'm decluttering, I can ask, how long have I had something? How many do I have? And when was it last used? Just some quick questions. I put those on there because those are the things that help me let things go. You can come up with more questions. In terms of work, I think I'll cover this, and then, or actually I could go over wellness. So what really takes it out of me is like arguing with billing and insurance, calling doctors, going to appointments, and going through procedures. Like all those things require more energy. Sometimes a procedure just has to be done. You just do it, right? But to me, I would rather do those when I have higher energy because it takes a lot out of me. Medium energy, I'm focusing on fiber intake. I'm analyzing the foods that I'm eating. I'm doing research. I'm logging into groups that all talk about these kind of symptoms to get support. Low energy, I'm checking my water. Check upcoming appointments so I'm not missing anything. So it's kind of on my radar, putting it in my planner. Writing out questions that I'm going to ask the doctor, and then rest. Especially like the questions may be something for medium energy, but I find if I just don't get it out of my head right away, that I can forget it. The ADHD part of it. It's like if I don't write it down, I will totally forget. I went to an appointment a couple weeks ago and I went in there the first time and I explained to some of my plan with me is what had happened is I thought one appointment was coming before the other at the same doctor's office. They got swapped because something came up earlier and they swapped a different appointment due to time. Like the two appointments were timed differently. One needed more time. So the other one got bumped up ahead. And so when I walked in there, I was like, I don't have my notes. I'm not prepared. I'm totally caught off guard here. I don't know what I came in for. My brain is prepared for the second appointment. So we muddled through it. And then I brought up a couple things at the second appointment. So if you find yourself in that position, consider, getting some kind of notebook that you bring and put all the questions in there so that you can keep adding to them as the days come closer to that appointment. But at least you have them all in one place. So, and if you have 5 questions on there that you get in there and you're like, I don't really want to ask them yet, you can save it for the next appointment. But at least check off the ones that you asked and you write the notes about the answers or the follow-up that's going to be done about them. If you're stuck, sometimes a nap, sometimes I lay flat on the floor and look at the ceiling, and sometimes I look out the window. Like some of those things I just need to do to feel more grounded, to feel, I don't know. Sometimes that can be for spinning too. The stuck and spinning sometimes can be very much the bookends that actually loop together, that the high energy may be in the middle here, like a sphere, like a circle, and spinning and stuck may be very similar for you. So you can label these, again, you could label these something totally different as well. And then sometimes spinning, I need to just cry it out. I just need to let it out. That I'm just spinning so much because I heard this, or I need to comprehend what the doctor talked to me about. Sometimes I need to talk in therapy about. Sometimes I just need to do some deep breathing. So, again, I'll hold this up. So if you want to take, without lighting this on fire, if you want to take a screenshot there and you can read my writing, you can also ask me in the comments about it. I could also, if you want me to go deeper on one of these, you can let me know in the comments and I can comment on it during a plan with me, like a co-plan with me in the coming weeks. I would be happy to talk more about that. I am doing some more lives. Probably the live that just already happened, because I'm not sure exactly when this is going out. But I would like to do more lives in the future where people can ask more questions directly. So to wrap this up, it's heavy. It's also can be simplified. And I printed this out just for some, let me go over some of the actual tools I used. I printed this out on, here, let me get the paper here. This is the Tomoe River paper that are loose sheets that are A4. I'm able to cut them in half, like this one. And my printer, I just put the one sheet in, and I put this, I printed out. And this does take just a little trimming because A5 paper is usually a little bigger for rings and a little smaller for bound. And so I just trimmed a little bit and did the tip-in tape and then rounded the corners with a little punch. And then I used, as I said, these Mr. Pen, but I also, and I'll link to these too, these are little, they're like sticky notes, but they're little lines. And I just went through, they didn't have green in the ones that I got, so I used kind of a teal here. That's why it doesn't match. And I used like a pink for the red, sort of red. I used the closest I had, and they are, here I can show you real quick. I use these occasionally. Sometimes it works to use these as little flags. They're pretty delicate, but they're just like a sticky note. They're only sticky on this side, and you just peel it up. And then I cut them to just match here. So most of this is sticky, and so they just stuck on there. You could use markers. You could not color code if that helps you. You could just define one or two of these. You could also spell this all out, like write this all out here, and then halfway through the year, find a spread in here that you can then print this out again and tip it in and just do a new one. Like, make it yours. And that's the biggest and deepest thing I want to convey as I wrap this up here. There's so many ways to live a life. So many ways, as you can see from all your friends and family and acquaintances and people that you see online. There's so many different ways to do things. And there's going to be like a set of ways that really are going to resonate most with you. And they change. So try to maybe document where you are now. And then as you change, erase things, redo it, revisit it. Could be as soon as a quarter. I don't know. There are, quarterly check-ins. This is half year and half year. But in here, like if you're actually tracking certain things, maybe there's something related to your energy that you want to track. Let's see, I think I started writing them here. I do want to check and balance my checkbook. That's kind of an older way of saying it, but I just want to make sure that everything that I've set up to come out of my account has come out, or which things haven't come out yet, so that I know, like, hey, this bill is about to go through, that kind of a thing. I check in every day and I want to mark that I do that. Sometimes on the weekends I skip it because, banks don't really refresh on the weekends. But like plants and hair, I want to see that I'm not doing my hair every day. I want to see what my schedule is for how often it's helping me to wash my hair. Because sometimes I forget like how many days. I can go quite a few days. And it's not exactly halfway in the week because there's 7 days. And I usually go 4, maybe sometimes 5. But my hair's curly. Like I won't go into my personal hair. Like laundry, sometimes it's twice a week, sometimes it's once a week. Depends who else is helping me with that. If my son's like kind of doing his with his dad, or if I'm doing the family stuff, like I kind of want to see how things are trending, because I also want to write notes here about like where my energy levels were for that month and kind of describe what was going on, so I can revisit and go back to this and go, oh, okay, so I had more low energy days. Could have been because of seasonal affective disorder, seasonal something disorder. And that's when, like, if there's a lot less sunlight, you can feel really down and feel like you have lower energy, that you want to sleep more. It's part of how our brains work chronologically. What's it called? Chrono something. Someone can correct me on that. But it's your inner clock and how you do with sunlight or not, and how the weather is affecting it. Again, so many things come into high, medium, and low energy and what that means for you. So I'll leave it there. I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear what little parts of this you find helpful, because I often, when I'm listening to creators, I'll hear little nuggets of things, and then I take those and I use them how they'll work best for me. So this setup exactly may not work for you. I want to hear how you may even theoretically set up something. It doesn't have to be like what you actually did, but like what you would love to set up because you think that would really work for you. Let me know down in the comments. I think that's it. Thank you for listening this far. And I'm going to be doing a whole setup video on this if I haven't released it already. Again, these are a little filming them out of order. So you may have seen the whole setup on this. Like this on the way out if you found this helpful. Subscribe if you would like to hear more. And I hope that planning through your energy, planning through just documenting or just coming up with a strategy for your everyday really benefits you and really can help you. And then it's not overbearing and it's not something you feel like you have to do or you should be doing or any of that, that it lifts that away and provides you with support. So take care, everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye.